From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
You always wear the same
What's
shirt.
going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. We are talking about all things God of War. I'll let Rob kind of explain how we are going to run it today because he's actually going to run it. But how you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great. So right now we're going to be we'll touch on all the pre-reboot era stuff. So everything before 2018, because while there's a lot of games, everything is basically one thing happens in each game.
Yeah. Do you actually consider it a reboot? Because I just consider it as a continuation.
It is an absolute continuation, but it is a soft reboot of his character.
Okay.
Because they have allowed so much time to pass. And let's start with the beginning. So God of War, ancient Greece fan fiction, hack and slash.
Basically, a lot of gore, a lot of boobs, a lot of sex, a lot of death, a lot of death.
The ancient Greeks would be proud.
How many times does Kratos die in that first 4 games?
I believe 3 or 4 times.
And I think he offs himself off of a cliff one time.
Twice.
So, Rob, take us into all the stuff you want to cover for the first episode of our God of War series.
So, God of War is our main boy, Kratos. And he is born a Spartan. And he climbs through those ranks from nothing to become a general. However, as a child, his brother Deimos, who has these magic scars on his body that glow orange, gets taken by the death god Thanos at the Order of Hades. Or no, Thanatos.
Yeah,
Thanatos.
I was like, Thanos, did he have the glove? Like, I can go get mine.
He had 2 gloves, and he used them to slap some ass. You put that can down. So that sets his tone for the gods there on out. They are not to be something to be trusted. Only used like you would a poison. And throughout his life, he doesn't realize that he's being groomed by Ares, the god of war, as a tool to destroy Olympus. So that is his whole backstory. He's groomed as a weapon to kill Zeus, because he is the son of Zeus and a mortal woman. I forget who his mother, Callisto.
Okay.
Callisto is his mother.
And is it Ares that poisons his head to kill his family and everything?
Yes. The Furies themselves, Ares' wife is the head Fury, and she poisons Kratos' mind and makes him kill his wife and child, Lysandra, his wife, and Calliope, his daughter. And his mother, Callisto, curses him to have their ashes fused to his body. That's why he's all white. And the red is from matching patterns with his brother Deimos.
Yeah. Hell of a
John-
backstory. Hell of a backstory.
Yeah. So he basically wears his brother and his wife and child. Because he does kill his brother, and he does kill his wife and child. And the whole backstory of this is there are only a few characters that are important to Kratos throughout these games. The first is Calliope and Lysandra. They die at his hands. The next is Orcos, who is the weakest Fury. When Kratos finally kills all the Furies for when they were trying to get him back to get him to work with Ares' plan to bring down Olympus, Orcos held the last piece of madness that was in Kratos' mind. So he had to kill Orcos. Now, the important thing is, he liked Orcos. He was a very honorable person, and he didn't want to kill him. He had to.
Okay.
So, Orcos was the first god he didn't want to kill.
It was more of a, I have to.
He had to kill him. To know who he was, and to get his vengeance in full.
Yep.
Those are the important characters. The next, I believe, is it's not a kill. Crap, Jason. I believe it's Jason, the person who kills the Medusa in the original story. Him basically killing Jason and taking his shield to kill Medusa is another big showing of how much of an asshole he is. And the last important character to him in these old ones is, after Zeus, God, the homunculus that Hephaestus made, Pandora. Pandora was the first person that he viewed as a daughter.
Yeah.
After he lost Calliope.
That ripped my heart out, that what she had to do.
Yeah, and she ran headfirst into that fire. She knew what was going to happen, and then Zeus stopped her. And then she freed herself, and then Kratos stopped her. And then Zeus just had to mouth off. And Kratos just lets her go. And he starts beating the shit out of Zeus.
He does more than beat the shit out of Zeus.
Yeah, but Zeus gets away at that point.
Yeah.
All to find out that it was for nothing. The Pandora's box was empty.
Mm-hmm.
Which Zeus found hilarious.
What they say was in it? Hope?
It was supposed to contain the hope to defeat Zeus. My thought was, it's kind of like the golden scroll from Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
The one who opens it is the hope.
That makes sense.
One of the most important things is, what is Kratos' godhood? Because every god has godhood. Zeus was Olympus and the weather. Poseidon was the sea. Kratos, in Greek mythology, he's the god of strength.
I can see that. Well, then again, now he's the god of war. Because doesn't he kill Kratos?
That he kills Ares, he kills everyone, but he never gets their title.
No, I thought he sits on his throne.
Powers. He does take their powers, but he does not attain their godhood.
No. I thought he did.
No, he does not. He does not take their. He could take their powers, but their power is not their godhood. If he killed Loki, he couldn't turn into a wolf, for instance.
Okay.
But he does get a power from them. But at the end of it, when he kills all the gods, he does something incredibly important. He takes the Blade of Olympus and runs it through himself. And then throws himself off a cliff for the second time.
Okay.
He does not kill himself. He tried. After attaining ultimate vengeance and killing literally almost everyone in Greece, I can name a handful of Greek gods that are left after his rampage. Artemis, Hestia. That's it.
Wow.
Maybe Bacchus and Zagreus, but we never got a confirmation that Zagreus even existed.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens after that is covered in a comic book that I read. He goes to Egypt.
Is this an actual comic book?
Like it's an actual comic book. He goes to Egypt. He doesn't know he went to Egypt, though. He fights a crocodile at the behest of Thoth.
Okay.
He doesn't know it's Thoth. It's absolutely Thoth. And the crocodile is said to be the Nile god, the crocodile god. He defeats them, but the important part here is he was trying to get rid of the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, doesn't he, like, bury it in the sand?
He buries it in the sand, he throws it into the ocean, I believe he tosses it into the sky. He runs for, like, a week before falling asleep. He wakes up, it's right in front of him. They're bound to him. He cannot get rid of them.
So
even after he ripped them off.
What kind of character development do you think that does for Kratos? That he himself doesn't want this power anymore, but yet it keeps coming back to him.
It filled him with rage. He hated himself for what he did, because it started to hit him as he was, traveling to what would eventually be the Nordic realms.
Yep.
And he hates himself, and he's filled with all this rage that even after he's killed everything, it's just not leaving him. And more, it's starting to control him. And he looks at the blades and he thinks they're the reason. And he keeps trying to get rid of them, and they're not what's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
In the next comic we see, he's already married to Faye. He already has Atreus. We find out what he's doing to get rid of that rage. He goes into the forest and stares down a monster. And every time, he wills himself not to fight it.
Wow. This is all in that comic book?
Yeah, well, this is another comic book.
Oh, well.
So he, one time he faces a deer, and he says, he's at the edge of his rage. He's about to explode and just kill that deer. But then he lets it back away. He controls it. He lets it die. Not today. And every day is not today.
Sounds like it's a new fight every single day to control that rage.
It is.
'Cause
every from wake up to sleep, it is a fight to rule himself. And by the time of God of War, the new one, 2018, he is in control of that rage. Which brings us in to the new God of War.
So I just finished 2018, probably like 2 months ago. And holy shit, is that an emotional roller coaster where I wasn't expecting an emotional roller coaster. Like, I know the background of Kratos. I've never played the first 4 games, but I know the background. I know where he's come from. But now he's got another kid that he's parenting by himself, and he's doing everything in his power to make sure that the mistakes of his past don't come through for shit. I want to call him Loki, but that's not his Atreus. But I don't know, Rob. What did you think of 2018, and how do you think that continued the lore?
It was as much Kratos coming to terms with himself as it was Atreus becoming himself. Kratos, he had a tragic backstory that his son still doesn't truly know.
He just told Freya in Ragnarok, so there was a big gap where nobody knew, and he just opened up to her. But we'll talk more about Ragnarok next week.
In this game, he gives the barest hints only when he is truly forced to.
Mm-hmm.
And he meets one of perhaps the best voices he could have ever met. The satyr god, Mimir.
I love it. He was my favorite character.
Mimir is honestly my favorite character too. He is a voice of wisdom where Kratos absolutely needs.
Yeah.
And he's never had this before. He's never had someone who is beneath him that is wiser than him. Because all the time it has either been Athena,
Mm-hmm.
some other god, or just like a force of nature that's just been telling him what to do and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And now he has a head on his hip telling him how it is.
But I think it's how they tell how it is.
Yeah, Mimir is very personable.
And blunt. Very blunt.
And until I think like Faye, until he met Faye, he never really had that blunt honesty before.
Mm-hmm.
Orcos had given him blunt honesty before, but he had to kill him. And there were others, but in the end, they either betrayed him, died, or he killed them. And he does kill Mimir, but he brings him right back.
I'm gonna cut your head off now. I love how I love how, you know, everybody knows who Mimir is, and I love how everybody comes around to accepting Mimir from all of the shit he did in the past. And like, he's just a head, but they're treating him like he's a full person and everything, except for Freya. Freya hates him.
Yeah, she had every reason not to.
It's also true. Very true.
So we have in this game a very important scene. Two very important scenes, really. And that is the vision of Athena. As
I
it
am
goes
no
in.
longer your monster.
And there's a theory, and it's one that I have subscribed to. A very big one. And it is the theory of Pleroma.
Okay. For everybody at home, what is that?
Pleroma is where the gods go when they die. Now, this is more important for Ragnarok, but it shows up here. Athena achieved Pleroma. When she died at the hands of Kratos, she did so achieving her purpose, essentially.
So she was meant to die.
She was meant to die there at the hands of Kratos, or she was meant to die protecting Zeus. Or doing the wisest course of action. And when you achieve Pleroma, you can appear anywhere on the earth. You have achieved ultimate knowledge. And you essentially, though you're limited in interacting with the world,
Mm-hmm.
you have basically unlimited agency.
So, I know we're talking about the story and everything going on, but the games, the first 4 games and then 2018 are completely different. Just look at the style of fighting. You know, the first 4, it's a top-down, like, dungeon crawler kind of thing. If you've ever played Hades, kind of that kind of thing.
It has a fixed camera perspective, very heavy on the action.
Yeah.
There is very rarely a downtime. There's little to no conversation outside of cutscenes.
And then you go to 2018, and we'll talk about Ragnarok, like I said, next week, but same concept. It's more of like an Arkham-styled camera angle and fighting style.
They made a very big point as to never cut away the camera.
No, you can go... There's no cutscenes unless you die. You can go from the start of 2018, which literally the first time you hit start, it's right into the game. There's no anything. It's literally start, choose difficulty, and then X. Right into it. If you wanted to play from beginning to end non-stop, there is no cutscenes as long as you don't die.
Well, there's no, like, blank screen. And now we're over here. No, the camera is always following someone, and it never cuts away immediately. So that now I'm over here. What's that? Now we're over here.
Yeah.
The camera is always one long cut.
Yeah. And I think that helps with the immersion. And speaking of the immersion, you can go into those settings and shut everything off, the HUD, all of it, and be just fully immersed in the world in Midgard.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot more weight to Kratos' hits.
Yeah. Because I think he's holding back.
He is absolutely holding back. You can tell that when he pushes the hammer and breaks the ice. He is always that strong. He is the god of strength. That doesn't go away. That follows him. He may have lost all of his other powers and all of his other weapons, but he is still strength incarnate. And that's something every god... I don't even think Kratos himself knows that he is strength.
I think
he
he probably just thinks he's a damaged person, and that's it, because he's very depressed all the time.
He views himself as the god of war, that no longer wants to be the god of war. But war is in his blood. He's a Spartan. He can't get rid of it.
So,
but he's absolutely the god.
We're talking about the story and everything, and just as we're going over it, what kind of story were you expecting the first time you played or watched it?
When I first saw that trailer, the first trailer, I thought, this isn't gonna go well for that kid. That boy is going to die.
There was a couple times where I thought he was.
I thought Atreus was going to die in this game. And then it would be another long slog. He commits Pantheicide once more.
He technically kind of does.
No, most of the Nordic gods are alive.
Okay, he kills one.
He kills 4.
In 2018?
Yes.
Oh,
Magni, Modi, the Guardian of Hell, and one more.
It's Odin's son, the other one, the one that brings.
Baldur.
Yeah.
So he does kill 4 gods. That Guardian at the end of the bridge in Hell, not the big bird, the dude with the pillar. That is also a god.
Oh, I didn't think of him as a god. Once you said Mighty and Modi, I was like, I forgot about those. But Baldur's the big one, and let's talk about him. You know, was from that first fight with him, Rob, and how basically you're doing nothing to him until how did you enjoy that fight? And compare that to the final fight, because we are talking about spoilers here, people. Go play the effing game.
Yeah. That fight was amazing. Now, every opening to every God of War has had these awesome action set pieces.
Yeah.
The first one, I believe you're fighting the Hydra or a sea serpent. And this one opens with you fighting Baldur in a literal Dragon Ball style slugfest.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't the only one that thought that. I'm happy.
And it is so satisfying to fight a punching bag that just keeps getting back up and doesn't know when to quit.
I didn't know when that fight was going to be over because it felt like it was going on for a while. And you have to go from one side of the house to the other side of the house, back to the other side of the house. And until you cue the motion or the punch that does it, you're going to keep going.
Yeah, I thought the moment he went Spartan Rage, I'm like, okay, this fight's over. And then he got back up, and I'm like, you're Balder. Because you didn't die from that. You're Balder, and the only thing that's going to kill you is mistletoe.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of this stuff. I know Thor, Odin, done, and Loki, which MCU has me completely fucked up with my God of War stuff.
MCU didn't have Balder. That was the one thing.
I know, but
or Tyr.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that, actually.
Tyr and Balder were technically in God of War Ragnarok. They were in that ceiling painting. They were dead by Thor's time. They died in the interim wars.
Oh, okay. So, basically, Rob, overall, what is your favorite game to play or watch out of all 5 of these?
For emotional impact, it's probably going to be Ragnarok. But the ones that we have discussed,
yes,
I liked. I think it was Ascension, the one where he kills Persephone.
Yeah,
because that scene had him facing Calliope again after he killed her in the Fields of Elysium.
And he could have stayed there.
He could have stayed there. Unfortunately, if he had, he would have died along with Calliope.
Yeah.
Persephone's plan was to kill Hades, then absorb power and kill Zeus, crashing Olympus into Hades.
And the thing is, he had everything, and then he has to kill his daughter all over again.
Yeah, he has to push her away and leave her there in Elysium. This does open an important question, because when he left Elysian Fields, Calliope was as mortal as he was.
Yeah.
And when he killed Hades and walked away, every soul left Hades. Calliope could still be in Olympus now as the goddess of music.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Calliope could be alive right now. And I would love for Loki on his travels to meet Calliope.
How do you think they'd get to, my father is Kratos? Well, my father is Kratos.
I don't know, but
see, to the question I asked you, my favorite's 2018 because it was more of the combat style, more of the story, something that I can really get into. Like I've loved Kratos' story, but I felt like I got more with 2018. But finish what you were gonna say, and then I got another question for you.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
So the other question for you, favorite character and favorite character development that is not Kratos.
All right, favorite character development.
Because as you know, the gods, they stick around and they really F with anybody.
I'm gonna go with the Huldra brothers for character development.
Okay. Wow. All right. So what about them?
I love Brock and Sindri's back and forth. Even before they come back together, that whole he said this, they said that, they did this, they did that. I love that bickering because that's me and my brother.
If it would please you, you son of a bitch.
If it would please you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I like Brock and
Sindri, yeah.
No, I'm more Brock. Brock's the more tell it to you how it is with expletives. And you know, I wasn't gonna say them, but damn it, Rob.
Yeah.
I love them. I really do. Mostly for the fact of one was like, give me your shit, I'll do whatever. The other one's like, give me your shit, I will do whatever.
Oh my god, one of the best scenes. Sindri throws an apple to Kratos, and he cuts it in half with the axe. It's like, that's a waste of a perfectly good apple. Do you want to know what would happen if he caught the apple?
It would go right back at him.
In Greece, catching an apple from another man means you do want to have sex with them. That's why he didn't catch the apple.
Didn't know that.
Toss an apple is to make the offer.
That's new.
Imagine if Kratos said that. It's just like, remember when you threw me that apple? This is what it meant. Imagine how hard Sindri would have flipped out.
I would have loved it if Brock was right there when that happened. And he's like, you don't want the Kratos.
Brock would have been laughing his ass off as Sindri would be vomiting in the corner.
You don't want the God of War. Alright, Rob, anything else you want to touch about any of these 5 games before we close up shop and get ready for Kineticon, number 1, and number 2, get ready for Ragnarok?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also two books. I haven't read the books, but they are supposed to be good.
Are they actually books or are they comic books?
They're novels.
Okay. Alright. Well, everybody, if you haven't yet, go check out all the games. Go enjoy them for yourself. Even if you don't want to play, go to YouTube and just watch the game movies. It's literally watching a very long movie, but it is so good. Like, there are some times where I just sit in bed, I'm like, yeah, it's Kratos time. And just bag of popcorn, just... It's so good. But check it out. We're coming back with Ragnarok next Thursday. Rob, where can people find you? We'll be at Kineticon when this airs.
So I'll be at Kineticon, doing a writer panel.
On Saturday at 2:30?
I believe so. So I will be doing a Kamen Rider panel with our good boy Will.
As you've seen on the channel, and it's been a while since we've seen Mikey.
Yeah, and Mikey. So
I'll be
co-paneling with those two. It's Will's panel. He's the captain of that ship. I'm steerage.
And for everybody, I'm AJ. You can check me out literally on anything Nerds Doing Nerd Things or All-Star 15 TV on Facebook and YouTube. Check it all out. I broadcast iRacing races and other video games when I'm bored. But go check out our Facebook page and the Nerds Doing Nerd Things group page and have some fun with us. We're just shy of 1,000 people in there, and most of them are very, very talkative, and I love it. But down below, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. But for all things Nerds Doing Nerd Things, stay right here. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join Nerds Doing Nerd Things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.